He thought it was just $20, just one small item, something no one would even notice, and for a moment, it felt like nothing more than a quick decision he could walk away from, but in the United States, that's exactly how situations begin that end very differently than expected. The moment he slipped the item into his pocket, he didn't realize that cameras had already seen everything, that store security was already watching, and before he could even make it to the exit, someone stepped in front of him and asked him to come to the back room. At first he tried to explain, tried to say it wasn't a big deal, that he would just return it, but it didn't work the way he thought it would, because once you're stopped for theft, returning the item doesn't erase what happened. Store security asked questions, took his information, and within minutes, the police were called, and that's when the situation really started to change. What felt like a small mistake suddenly became serious, because now it wasn't just about the store, it was about the law. When the police arrived, everything became official. He was questioned, and depending on the situation, that could mean getting cited or even arrested on the spot. In many cases, even for something as small as $20, officers can take you into custody, and that means being handcuffed, transported, and going through booking, where fingerprints and a record are created. That's the moment most people realize this is no longer small, this is something that can follow them. After that, the case doesn't just disappear, because once charges are filed, you may have to go to court, stand before a judge, and deal with a legal process that can take time and money. Even if it's considered petty theft or a misdemeanor, it can still carry penalties like fines, probation, community service, or even jail time in some situations. And if you're convicted or plead guilty, that theft can go on your criminal record, showing up in background checks that employers and landlords can see. What makes it even more real is what happens after the case is over, because that one decision doesn't just stay in the past, it can affect job opportunities, housing, and your reputation moving forward. Something that felt like $20 in the moment can turn into something much bigger over time, because the law doesn't measure the impact by the price, it measures it by the action. Some people may get a second chance through diversion programs or first-time offender options where they can avoid a permanent record by completing certain requirements, but that is never guaranteed and depends on the situation, the state, and the details of the case. Not everyone gets that opportunity, and once a conviction happens, it becomes much harder to undo. The truth is, he thought it was just $20, but what followed showed him it was never just about the money, it was about the decision, the moment he crossed that line, and how quickly everything changed after that. One small mistake turned into a police encounter, a legal case, and a situation that could stay with him far longer than he ever expected. And that's why even the smallest theft can lead to consequences much bigger than the price tag attached to it.